In our last episode, the air conditioning stopped working, so I took the AC strainer basket home, and when I opened it up, I found a really nasty bag inside. Then I decided to clean the lid, but I mistakenly called it brass when it's actually bronze. So then I put the AC strainer basket back in the boat and it fixed the problem. But now I have to move on to the leaks. When our boat just sits at the dock, it doesn't leak, and the bilge even eventually dries up. But when we're underway with the motor running, the bilge pump comes on every 30 or 40 minutes. When we're sailing with the motor off, same thing. It bothers me for two reasons. Number one, I don't know where it's coming from or if it might get worse or cause other issues. And number two, our prop shaft eventually touches this water. It sprays on everything, the fuel pump, batteries, battery connections, wires, and the motor. I have a couple of theories of where this water's coming from. One, our prop shaft seal. Two, the exhaust system, which is water-cooled. And three, the through-hole fittings in the transom. Let's take a look at all three of these systems and see if we can find out where the leak is coming from. We were getting ready to start working inside the boat when we noticed a bad storm approaching, so I went out on deck to see what was going on, and we noticed our friend Peck's boat's mast was falling off his deck. He has the mast on deck horizontally because he's currently working on the boat. It was getting really windy, so we had to try and get over there and see if we could help. Let's get our boat secure real quick. Luckily, the owner got there right as we did, and we were able to lift the mast and get it secured back on his deck. Back at our boat, we're enjoying our air conditioning as I unload the quarter berth so I can get back to the engine compartment and start the hunt for this leak. I think I'm going to start storing these items in the berth up front because we don't use it that much and they're always in the way back here. But anyways, as we're doing all this, our air conditioning stopped working again, and this time it sounds like the pump is not working. Well, I don't know, we were doing all these other tests and the air conditioning stopped working. So, I don't know, it sounded like the pump wasn't working, so I took it apart, you know. Seems like I thought our air conditioning woes were over, but this is pretty corroded and there's some corrosion in there. And I can scrape it, it comes off, so I'm going to scrape it all clean and see if we can save it, because this pump's about $300. My best guess as to what's happened here is that with the clogged filter basket, cooling water couldn't reach the old pump, and with its old age and condition, it just stopped working. Maybe the plastic bag sucking up in there caused it to run without any water and then burned it out.
It worked for about 2 hours today.
Yeah. I ordered a new pump, but in the meantime, I'm going to try and get this one to work until it arrives. I'm about to test it. I think I fixed it because I reach in here now and spin it and it spins freely and it didn't before. So, I'm going to turn this on, air conditioning on, and then I'm going to wait over here. I'll bet you this thing's going to spin now. Come on! I'm going to get this thing out of here and take it home and see if I can clean it a little better and make it work again. After taking the motor home, and I didn't really rebuild it, this part here is inaccessible. There's a motor in here and it's really cool the way it works. I should have recorded more of it when I had it apart, but basically all the moving parts don't touch any electrical part at all. They're encased in this plastic thing and a magnet spins the motor. So basically I know I shouldn't do this to you electricians, but I just temporarily wired it up and I turned the air conditioning on and it sounded good, like it's working again. So even though I ordered a new pump, I'm going to go ahead and put it all back in, wire it back up, hook it to the water, and see if it'll pump water. I'd really rather just wait until the new pump comes and install it, but it's so hot here in Florida right now in July that we really need to run the air conditioning to do anything at the boat. Let's do this.
You have a sea couple?
Yep. Sounds like it's working. Just need the water to get in there. I don't hear any water going in. I don't hear the water. I don't think there's sounds like the pump's running. I'm going to take off the water outlet and see if I can pump it into a bucket. It'd just be less resistance for it. It didn't sound like it was pumping water. So why don't we do this? If I open the sea hook, it just flows out without me doing anything. It didn't sound like it was working though. It was definitely has water in it. Maybe that's just because I opened it. I don't know. Well, the pump's working for now, so I got the connections finished until the new pump gets here. The first thing I'm going to do is find out why water isn't draining away from the engine area. It seems to build up right here, and although it slowly does drain out, it just isn't removing itself fast enough into the main bilge. There is a tiny hole about the size of a finger that goes from that engine area into this main bilge, and I'm going to stick a drain cleaner in there and see if I can clean it out, as I suspect something just stuck in there. Now it's draining a little faster, I think. Yeah, there's like a little bit of a current coming in now. As we enter the engine compartment, you can see this exhaust pipe. That goes into this exhaust box that also has water pumped into it. Also in this area, you'll see the shaft seal for the prop shaft, as well as a raw water intake for engine cooling. We're going to be looking for leaks from this box, as well as from this exhaust hose where the water and exhaust leave the boat. With the engine running, there were no leaks from any of these exhaust fittings or this box full of water, so maybe there's a leak where the exhaust goes back to the back of the boat. We'll have to look at that. Where the prop shaft goes through the bottom of the boat, there's a shaft seal. These can be stuffing boxes or dripless seals and allows the shaft to rotate but keeps the water out. The traditional way of sealing this shaft was a stuffing box, which prevents seawater from entering the boat. It's rings of braided fiber known as shaft packing or gland packing that form the seal in the stuffing box. Envision has a newer dripless seal, and while it's certainly old, ugly, and needs to be replaced, it does not leak water even with the boat in gear and the prop spinning. Looking at the stern of the boat from the inside on the transom, you'll see the main bilge pump line, the cockpit overboard drains, and the main exhaust pipe which carries exhaust and water out the back of the boat. Let's start the engine and follow the exhaust back where it exits the boat and see if anything's leaking. It's really hard to see back there. In fact, I couldn't see any of this until I had to... Wait, what was that? Did you see that? Let's look at it in slow motion. Right there. That water coming out. That's it. That's where water's coming in when the engine's running. And each time the exhaust pulses and water shoots out, a little bit of water also leaks inside. But then why is water still coming in while we're just sailing along with the engine off? To answer this question, we have to look at the transom of Envision. These bottom two holes are where the cockpit drains exit. And while they're nice and high off the water when the boat's just sitting there, when we're sailing along, they dip into the water, as you can see right here. And if there's wave action behind the boat, they're about halfway underwater, so if these weren't sealed up against the transom, they're letting water come in. To test this theory, I'm going to use a hose to put water right on these through holes to see if any water leaks inside. I poured a lot of water all over the through holes for the cockpit drains, and none of the water would leak inside. So maybe they need to be submerged, who knows. I guess next time we go sailing, I'll just have to take a look down inside and see if they're leaking.